So, what's going on, everybody? I have been very excited about filming this video for a long time because I've personally wanted to do something like this on the channel for a while. On this channel, we obviously focus a lot on golf swing, but I never really get the opportunity to talk about Tyler or his music that much. And I really would like that to change because I love music and I love Tyler's music. And I feel like I've been putting out a lot of golf swing content recently, so I feel like this would be kind of a refresher or something for me to make a video about that would be a ton of fun for you guys as well. So that's why today I'm going to be doing my very own Tyler the Creator song bracket. If you are familiar, DJ Pickle Juice on Twitter does a lot of these really cool brackets for different artists on his page. I followed him for a long time and I participate in like every single bracket he does. He's done one for Tyler, Kanye, obviously. I think he did one for Chance not that long ago, and he also does some ones that aren't related to rap as well that are also really fun. I love doing them and they're definitely a ton of fun, so his Twitter will be linked down in the bio below along with my Instagram where you can follow me and him if you would like. But what makes this bracket stand out the most was Tyler did his own DJ Pickle Juice song bracket, which I'll put up here, and I think it's really interesting to see from the artist point of view what's their best project or song. So it was really cool to see him do that, but I figured it'd be cool for me to show you guys where my personal taste falls in Tyler's line of music. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So switching the view here, we now are looking at the bracket itself, and we are going to be starting up in this left-hand corner where we have Who Dat Boy and I Don't Love You Anymore facing off. And between these two songs was kind of an easy pick for me because I do really enjoy I Don't Love You Anymore, but I think Who Dat Boy is a way more outstanding track in my opinion, and I think it stands out a lot more in his discography and on Flower Boy as well. So just for that, I'm going to be moving Who Dat Boy up to the next round. Coming in next, we have November and Earthquake facing off, which was another really hard round straight out of the gates. And I think they're both standout tracks on their respective projects. So it was hard for me to pick between the two, but I ended up giving the edge to Earthquake because I find myself listening to that song a lot more than I find myself listening to November nowadays. And coming in next, we have Where This Flower Blooms versus Running Out of Time. And this was another super easy round for me because the first time I ever saw Tyler perform live, he opened up with Where This Flower Blooms, which was at Camp Flognaw 2018. So this was like the first song I ever heard Tyler perform live. So I'm very partial to that song. So I'm moving that up to the next round. Coming in next, we have I Ain't Got Time and A Boy's a Gun facing off. This was very difficult for me to pick between these two as well, because I love both of these songs. But I personally think that A Boy's a Gun really gets the edge. And the reason I did that is because I'm a sucker for like old samples, and it's a very Kanye type beat, which I'm sure most of you know, but Kanye sampled the same song for his track on Yeezus Bound 2. Coming in next, we've got Glitter versus Are We Still Friends. This was a really easy round for me. I think Are We Still Friends is probably Tyler's best outro track on any album, and I love the sample that he used in this song as well. It's also got a really good structure. And coming in next, we have Troncat going against Milk, and as you can see, I'm not trying to cuss on this channel, and I'm also censoring all the cuss words on the bracket because I don't want to give YouTube any reason to demonetize the channel whenever I do get that opportunity. But with that being said, we have Troncat going against Milk, and I'm throwing a bit of a curveball at you guys because I feel like a lot of people picked Troncat to move forward in this first round, but I'm personally moving Milk forward in this round because Tyler and Earl's chemistry on a track is something that we don't really get to see a lot in the music landscape today. So coming in next, we have Jamba going against Effing Young and Perfect, and this was a very, very easy round for me. I'm definitely moving forward Effing Young and Perfect because this is honestly like one of the best songs on Cherry Bomb, and it was one of the first songs I heard from Tyler that I loved. So once again, very partial to that track. Coming in next, we have Puppet versus 911 Mr. Lonely, and this was like a super hard round for me because I love both of these songs so much, but I just had to end up going with 911 moving to the next round. I think just the way that that song connected with me in the time that I heard it back in 2017 is just something that I can't really overlook, so I'm moving that to the next round. Coming in next, we have New Magic Wand and Pothole, and this was another easy round for me because I think Pothole and New Magic Wand are, both great songs, but I just think that we can all agree that New Magic Wand is just, a phenomenal track. Coming in next, we have the Brown Stains and Awkward going against each other, and I decided to move the Brown Stains forward because I think that song is kind of overlooked. I think it's an underrated track in his discography, and the way him and Schoolboy Q have chemistry on that track and the way the beat complements them both, I think is, it really makes for a great song. Coming in next, we have Find Your Wings versus Potato Salad. This was, once again, very difficult for me to pick between the two. Both amazing songs, and I love just hearing people get on a beat and just rap. That's not really something that you see too much anymore in the rap landscape today, especially people doing it as well as Tyler and Rocky did. But I think hearing the only true jazz song from Tyler, and that song really opened my mind up, just to the world of jazz and everything like that. So I'm gonna have to move Find Your Wings forward. Coming in next, we have See You Again and What's Good. Very easy round for me. See You Again is moving forward all day. say, although I do really like What's Good. Coming in next, we have Boredom versus Igor's Theme. Igor's Theme is one of my favorite, just straight instrumental tracks. There's not a whole lot of just instrumentals where people would just like highlight their production skills in rap. So I was torn between these two tracks, but I just got to give Boredom the edge here. Coming in next, we have Garden Shed versus I Think. I've got to give the edge to I Think because I find myself listening to that track a lot more. I think I enjoy it more, and that's definitely one of my favorite tracks on Igor as well. Coming in next, we have Nightmare versus Bastard, and this was another one that was pretty easy for me because the same thing with Are We Still Friends being my favorite outro track by any Tyler album. I think Bastard is probably my favorite intro track. Coming in next, we have Forward and Gone Gone Thank You, and this was another easy one for me. Forward is a great song, but I just don't think it stands up to Gone Gone Thank You. Moving over to the next side, we have IFHY going against Her. This was another very easy one for me. IFHY is one of my favorite songs on Wolf, and I can't really say the same for Her. I'm not a huge fan of Goblin, but when it comes to Goblin just as a whole, Her definitely isn't one of my favorites to listen to whenever I'm in the mood to listen to that album. Coming in next, very easy round for me. 7 is a way better song. Coming in next, we have Tree Home going against Okauga, California. Believe it or not, this was a very, very easy round for me. I had to give Tree Home the edge over Okauga, California, because Tree Home is another one of those tracks that's completely underrated by Tyler. It's really got like a huge like neo soul feel, and just not even with the Badu feature, just even if it didn't have that. Neo soul is one of my favorite genres of music right now, and I think Tyler really embodied it. So I think that's like a severely underrated track. I don't think it gets appreciated enough in his discography. Coming in next, you have 48 going against Blow My Load. Very easy one for me. 48 is a huge highlight on Wolf for me. I think that's another underrated track, and it's definitely a lot better than Blow My Load. Coming in next, we have Answer going versus Fish. Very easy for me. I think Answer is a way better track than Fish. Coming in next, we got Party Isn't Over, Campfire and Beamer going against Two Seater. This was another very easy one for me. I'm giving the edge to Beamer. Party Isn't Over and Campfire are, amazing songs on their own, but Beamer is personally one of my favorite Tyler songs of all time, so I'm gonna have to move that one to the next round. Coming in next, we have Domo 23 versus VCR and Wills, and I actually moved Domo 23 forward in this round. It's got a really good beat, funny lyrics. I think it's a good song if you're just trying to, turn it on and like just jam, Coming in next, we have Lone versus Yonkers, and this was actually a very hard round for me because I love the instrumental of Lone a lot, and I also love the lyrics, but we all heard Yonkers, the memes about it. There's so many memes about it, but it's still a really iconic Tyler song. I think the beat's still really good, and he's still performing it to this day. Very important to Tyler's discography, and pretty much if you didn't discover Tyler through Flower Boy and Igor, I'd say for the most part you probably heard Yonkers before you heard any other Tyler song. Coming in next, we have Colossus versus Keep the O's. I'm moving Keep the O's on to the next round. That's once again one of my favorites off of Cherry Bomb. Coming in next, we have Tamale versus Goblin. This was actually a hard round for me, and the reason I gave Tamale the edge on this one is because I became very partial to that track after I heard him perform it live, and whenever I listen to it, it kind of takes me back to that. Coming in next, we have Slater going against Death Camp, and I am moving Death Camp on to the next round. It really gives me a Mad Max vibe, which is really cool. I think that's a great song, and it's kind of like, really punk rockish. I'm not sure if that's what he was going for or not with that track, but that's really the vibe it gives me. Coming in next, we have Wolf versus She. This is an easy one for me. I'm moving She on to the next round because that was actually the song that introduced me to Frank Ocean. So, another one of my absolute favorite artists, so very partial to that one as well. Then we have Rusty versus Buffalo, and I moved Rusty on to the next round because once again, like I talked about earlier, I love hearing people get on a track and like just rap, and having that Earl and Tyler chemistry like I talked about on Milk. Very good beat, and you don't really get to hear Tyler just get on a beat and rap much anymore. Coming in next, we have French versus Radicals, and I'm moving French on to the next round because that was one of the first tracks that I actually liked by Tyler, but I used to not be a huge fan of Tyler until about 2015 when Cherry Bomb came out is when I started really liking Tyler. But I just remember French being a standout track for me when I was listening to Tyler, before 2015, so moving that on to the next round. Coming in next, we got Odd Toddlers and Sandwiches, and this was, kind of a hard round for me, not because I love both of these tracks, it's actually because I don't really love both of these tracks, but the one that I decided to move forward is Sandwiches. If I were to listen to either of these songs, it would definitely be Sandwiches over Odd Toddlers, so that's why I decided to move that one forward. Coming in next, we got Cowboys versus Smuckers. Very easy round. Smuckers is a way better song than Cowboy. We're moving back over to the left side where we are going to be doing the second round of the bracket, facing Who Dat Boy off with Earthquake. This was very hard for me. This whole second row on this left column was hard for me, but I decided to just my personal enjoyment. I think Who Dat Boy is a better song because I think it's got like a hard beat, and that build up to the drop is just crazy. Coming in next, we got Where This Flower Blooms and A Boy's a Gun facing off. I did praise Where This Flower Blooms a lot earlier in the bracket, but I think A Boy's a Gun is a better song. Coming in next, we had the easiest round round, Are We Still Friends is an immaculately better song. I cannot stress enough how hard it was for me to pick between these two songs. When I first sat down and completed this bracket, I probably sat here and just stared at these songs for like 5 minutes. I went back and listened to them, and I was like, it took me a long time to figure out which one I wanted to move forward. End of the day, I decided to move 911 forward instead of Effin' Young. But anyway, coming in next, we have New Magic Wand and the Brown Stains going versus each other. I'm gonna have to move New Magic Wand on in this round because, like, really, you know, what an amazing song that is. Just me and my friends listen to that song all the time, and it definitely is one of the best, like, structured songs I've ever heard, and I can really understand why he praises it as much as he does. It's really an amazing track. Coming in next, we had Find Your Wings and See You Again. Very hard round for me. Both of these are amazing songs, but I decided to move See You Again forward instead of Find Your Wings. That is followed by Boredom going versus I Think. Once again, another one of those rounds that was just ridiculously hard for me to do, but once again, I went back and listened to both of these songs. I just, you know, I gotta move I Think forward. Coming in next, another very easy round. Gone Gone is a way better song than Bastard. All right, round 2 on the right, we have IFHY going versus 7. Very easy round. IFHY is a really iconic Tyler song, great subject matter, great beat, great Pharrell feature. And coming in next, we had Tree Home going versus 48. Very hard round for me. These are two of, like, my favorite songs going against each other, but I'm kind of gonna throw a bit of a curveball because I love Tree Home, but I think 48 is a way better song than Tree Home. Next, we have Answer and Party Isn't Over, Campfire, and Beamer facing off against each other. I decided to give the edge to Beamer. You know, I do think Answer is a very important song in Tyler's discography, especially if you can relate to it. But I feel like that's very important when it comes to that song, whether you can relate to what he's talking about or not. And, you know, that's not really a song that I can relate to a lot personally. Coming in next, we got Domo 23 and Yonkers going against each other, and I decided to move Yonkers forward against Domo 23 because I think Domo 23 is a really fun song, but I just don't think it's as good as Yonkers. Now we have Keep Doze and Tamale going against each other. I'm throwing another curveball at you. I know a lot of people were probably going to pick Tamale, but I love Keep Doze. I think that's a severely underrated track on Cherry Bomb, and it reminds me a lot of, like, the bling era of hip-hop, which is something I've been listening to a lot recently. And like I said, that Pharrell feature, man, come on. Coming in next, we have Death Camp and She. Very easy round. She is definitely moving on over Death Camp, although Death Camp is a really underrated song. Coming in next, we've got Rusty versus French. Very, very easy round for me. I'm moving Rusty forward. And then we got Sandwiches versus Smuckers. Another very easy round for me. Smuckers is winning all day. I mean, honestly, I just can't think of any universe where Sandwiches is a better song than Smuckers. Moving back over to the left side, we have Who Dat Boy and A Boy Is a Gun facing off. This one was, you know, believe it or not very hard for me to pick between the two. Although I love A Boy Is a Gun, I love Who Dat Boy a lot more. And now we have Are We Still Friends facing off versus 911 Mr. Lonely. This is actually another very easy one for me. I love 911 a lot more than I love Are We Still Friends, so very easy round for me, moving 911 forward. And then we have New Magic Wand and See You Again facing off, and this was actually the hardest round for me in the third round. Amazing songs, but I once again went back and listened to both of them, and I think See You Again deserves to get the edge over New Magic Wand. And then we have I Think going versus Gone Gone Thank You. In my personal opinion, I think blows Gone Gone out of the water, even though a lot of people love that song, and I do too. But I Think just has an amazing beat and amazing lyrics, so I just don't think it was really a competition. Moving back over to the right, we have IFHY and 48 going against each other. I'm throwing another curveball at you guys. I'm moving 48 over IFHY. And I know a lot of you probably just saw that pick and were like, dude, what are you doing? A lot of people love IFHY. Just go back and listen to both of them. Everything from, you know, the Nas interview playing in the back. You got the subject matter, just the perspective that he's rapping through is just amazing. And especially if you understand, you know, just that world, I think you can get a lot more of an appreciation for that track. But moving on to the next round, we have Party Isn't Over, Campfire and Beamer going against Yonkers. But I decided to move Party Isn't Over, Campfire and Beamer because all three of those tracks are really good, and the transitions between the two are, you know, almost seamless. But just, you know, my ears and what I love listening to, I would be lying to myself if I moved Yonkers. Coming in at the next round, we have Keep the O's going versus She. Very easy round for me. Keep the O's, you know, I've been praising it a lot while I've been doing this bracket, but She is actually my favorite song off of Goblin. It's one of my favorite Tyler and Frank collab tracks, so easy moving that ahead of Keep the O's. And this right here was actually the hardest round for me in round 3, Rusty versus Smuckers. And these are two of my favorite rap songs from Tyler. But a lot of you guys actually don't know, Kanye is actually my favorite rapper, and I think he was really in his bag on this one. And, you know, also the beat, man, very empowering. Had to move that ahead of Rusty, although Rusty's an amazing track. Moving back over to the left side, we have Who Dat Boy facing off against 911 Mr. Lonely. This was hard for me because, you know, Flower Boy, my personal favorite Tyler album. These are two of, you know, my favorite and most popular songs on the album, but I ended up giving the edge to 911 Mr. Lonely. Now we have See You Again and I Think going against each other. Once again, another round. Cannot stress how hard this was for me to pick between the two. In the moment of my life that I heard this song in and the way that I could relate to it at the time, I have to give See You Again the edge over I Think. Moving back over to the next round, I'm moving 48 over Campfire, Party Isn't Over, and Beamer. Like 48 probably is my favorite song off of Wolf. I listen to Wolf a lot. It is one of my favorite Tyler albums, and just the ones I find myself revisiting the most, 48 is the one I listen to more than any other song off of Wolf. So moving that over into the next round. Moving down, we have She going against Smuckers, and this was a very hard round for me. I think Smuckers is just a phenomenal song. It's one of my favorite like rap songs, and it's got my two favorite rappers like of all time, Tyler and Kanye, going back and forth on it. I also really like Lil Wayne a lot, and like I said, he was really in his bag on that. So very partial to Smuckers. Moving that into the next round. Moving back over to the left side, we have 911 Mr. Lonely going against See You Again, and this is understandably very hard for me to pick between these two songs, but I had to move 911 over See You Again. All right, moving back over to the right side, we have 48 Smuckers going against each other. Once again, these are two of my favorite Tyler tracks, but you know, this was a no-brainer for me. I love Smuckers. It is my favorite song on Cherry Bomb and one of my favorite Tyler songs of all time, obviously. And that brings us to deciding the winner of my Tyler the Creator song bracket. This actually was a really easy round for me. I had 911 Mr. Lonely winning the bracket. While I did still really enjoy doing this bracket, I pretty much, you know, went into this knowing that this was my favorite Tyler song. It was my favorite Flower Boy song when I heard it in 2017. I still remember exactly what I was doing when I heard this song. I just can't stress enough how influential this, you know, the album really, but this song was to me. So really this album completely changed my life. And this song can really attest to that. You know, Tyler was really, really in his bag when he did this song, and Flower Boy as well. But that'll do it for my Tyler the Creator song bracket. And I know with these brackets, it's impossible to please everybody. So comment below and let me know what you disagreed with or what you agreed with on what I did with my bracket. If you like this kind of content and you would like to see more, definitely like this video and subscribe to the channel. I have a ton of golf and shooter content coming moving forward. That'll do it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for checking this out, and I will see you in the next one.